Me. This week's Torah portion is Vayishlach, and it starts in Genesis chapter 32 and verse 4. Sometimes the English translations have verse 3, but if you would like to turn there, this is Parsha number 8. So we're 8 Parshiot into. Does anyone know how many Parsha there are total? 54. Yeah. So we're number 8 in so far. And it starts in Genesis chapter 32 and verse 4. Genesis, and this word right here, shalach, do you see that? Vayishlach? That's a Hebrew word which means to cast or to send out or to throw. To cast, send out, or to throw. But before we jump into the Torah portion, let's do some Hebrew vocabulary and kind of beef up your knowledge of the Hebrew language, and then we'll kind of weave that into the reading and see if we can insert some of these words as we read, okay? But, this word Vayishlach, it means, and he sent out, but shalach means to cast. Like when we do tashlich, we cast bread or stones into the water during the high holy days in the fall. Does anyone know, this is also where we get the word shaliach, which is an apostle, or an overseer, or someone who starts an emissary. A shaliach, like shaliach Shaul, the apostle Paul. So it means to cast someone out, to send someone out with a purpose, with a mission. Does anyone know who the first shaliach was in the Bible? Who was the first one to be sent out? Jonah. Not Jonah.
Moses.
No. Who? Abraham. No. Adam was the first shaliach. He was cast out. He was sent out of the garden. Sometimes being cast out is not what we think it is. Sometimes being sent out, it is very painful for us. It feels like rejection oftentimes, but it means salvation for others. Sometimes it means getting us out of our comfort zone and into a place like the apostles and the emissaries who kind of hunkered down in Jerusalem for a long time before they were sent out, before persecution actually forced them out of the city and forced them to take the gospel elsewhere. But that's that word. So the first word we're going to talk about is malach. Malach. And malach, it can be translated a couple different ways. It can be translated as a messenger, or it can be translated as an angel, because angels primarily have the job of that of a messenger. So that's why we translate them the same, malach. And sometimes during Shabbat we say, malachim hashalom, shalom aleichem, malachim hashalom. So that's the messengers of peace, the messengers of Shabbat. Then we have achi, and we sang this morning. Hine ma tovu ma na'im shevet achim. It's the plural of achi, brothers. Achi is a brother. Okay? Achi. And then we have machne. Machne is a camp or a small settlement. Picture like a Bedouin tribe. They're pitching their tents for the night. They're hunkering down. Their sheep have kind of been brought into a pen or whatever the case may be. And they're pitching their tents. That's a machne. A machne. It's a temporary dwelling. All right. And then the last word is a mizbeach. Mizbeach is a really fun word to say, but it means an altar. It's a place of worship where you would take stones and you would go and gather them from different points and you would pile them on top of each other. It's an elevated platform in a sense. And then it's a place where you would slaughter an animal and make an offering to a deity or a god. Okay? And that's called a mizbeach. And we see that a lot in this Torah portion, is an altar. All right, so let's jump in. Oh, I almost forgot. I do the same thing I do with you guys. I do it with my students throughout the week. I read to them from the book of Genesis, 1 chapter a day. And I don't tell them which word, but I substitute an English word with a Hebrew word. And then at the end of reading the chapter, I say, okay, what is the meaning of mayim, for instance? And they're like, through reading it, they have gathered that word mayim, without me even telling them, just in the context, they know that that's water. So I'm teaching them Hebrew kind of like indirectly over time. Undercover, yeah. But one of the things I do, once I do that for a couple weeks and I read through several chapters to them, and then I give them a Bible test on the unit that we're learning about, I say, okay, I write all those words from the reading on the board, all those Hebrew words that we've covered, and I say, put them on the back of your test and write what they mean. Translate those words. For every one word that you get right, I'll add one bonus point onto your test.
Nice.
And some of them do. I mean, some of them get 11 out of 11, 10 out of 10. But he put Mayim Teva for boat or ark, Adamah, dirt or ground, Elohim, the impersonal name of God, a Brit, and I thought that was funny. He put a Brit is a covenant, but he forgot what a Brit was, and he thought it was a Brit, and he thought he would be funny and he thought he'd put the British flag there with a spot of tea. He drew that, yeah. And then pressed it with the pipe and everything. Look at the little monocle thing. And he says IDK. So, anyways, I got his permission to share that with you all. I thought it was cute, and I thought I'd share that just to make you laugh, chuckle. But, anyways, you guys aren't the only Hebrew vocabulary students out there. So, Yaakov and Esau. And I'm kind of asking the question today, what if there was an alternate reality? What if these two brothers understood their destiny given to them and the prophecy and the blessing given to them at their birth? What if they both fully embraced that and that identity given to them? Would things have turned out differently? So I want to recap Jacob's journey so far. Jacob is he's kind of this blue line right here, but he's kind of bouncing all around, we see in his life. Remember, he's on the run after he acquires, let's say, the birthright from Esau. He has to run up to this place called Haran. And we see Haran way back in Genesis 18-ish, well, really Genesis 14 and 15. Abraham travels through Haran and stops in Haran because his father Terah stops there. His father Terah actually was going to go on to the land of Canaan, but stops short and pauses in Haran. So Abraham spends some time in Haran. So maybe there's some extended family there, perhaps, like a man named Lavan, right? And he gets up there and he starts working for Lavan, and he realizes that he has a beautiful daughter, right? You guys remember the story? And he works for him for 7 years. He gets the wrong daughter, works another 7 years, gets the right daughter, and then he wants to kind of like peace out and go do his own thing because he's realizing Lavan is cheating him, and he's kind of taking advantage of his hard work. So he leaves Lavan's household with both of his wives, and he ends up leaving. He goes into Lavan's household with nothing but a staff in his hand. And he leaves with all kinds of flocks and possessions and wealth. And he leaves and he heads down. He wants to go back to the land of his fathers, of his ancestors, which is the land of Canaan. Yeah.
What country would Haran be in today? Is that Lebanon?
That might be too far north to be Syria, but I want to say Syria. But I'm not. Anybody know better geography than me?
I think it's just north of modern-day Raqqa. So.
Okay.
Is that Syria still? Okay, so just north of. Okay, I know Damascus is in Syria, but he comes back down, and we're going to pick up the story there with Jacob. But what do we know about the dynamic of these brothers so far? Someone just tell me. They're what?
Very
pathological. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Anything?
Twins.
They're what?
Fraternal twins.
Fraternal twins. Yeah, they're not identical twins, but they are twins. They're in the womb together, right? Anything else? What do we know about them?
God had already saying that Jacob would get the blessing, but because Esau was the oldest, then Isaac wanted to give it to Esau.
Yeah. How's their relationship so far?
Very rocky.
Yeah, Jacob, for all he knows, Esau, the last thing he heard his brother say was, I'm going to kill you. You come back here, come back in these parts, and I will hunt you down and I will kill you. But Jacob has this yearning to go back to the land of his forefathers. They have a very tense relationship, right? And let's go now to Genesis 32. And I don't know if we're going to read all this chapter or the next chapter, but I wanted to kind of tell this and retell this story. These are a little bit shorter chapters. But let me sit and read. Yaakov sent Malachim ahead of him to Esau, his brother, toward the land of Seir, the country of Edom, which is the country of Esau. That's Esau's nickname. With these instructions, here is what you are to say to my lord Esau. Your servant Yaakov says, I have been living with Lavan and have stayed until now. I have cattle, I have donkeys and flocks, male and female servants. I am sending to tell this news to my lord in order to win your favor. So he's realizing in order to get back to the land, he's got to go through Esau. In order to go through Esau, he has to kind of smooth things over a little bit, right? The messengers returned to Yaakov saying, We went to your brother Esav, and he's coming out to meet you. With him are 400 men. It's not looking good. Yaakov became greatly afraid and distressed. So he divided the flocks and cattle and camels with him into 2 camps. And this is kind of, to me, a foreshadowing of the people of Israel, the nation of Israel, being divided into 2 houses later, as we see the story and the history of the people of Israel. He said, if Esav comes to the one camp and attacks it, at least the camp that is left will be able to escape. Then Yaakov said, now here's interesting because we have recorded right here the very first prayer in the entire Bible. God of my father Abraham and God of my father Yitzchak, Yahweh or Adonai, who told me, return to your country and your kinsmen, and I will do you good. I am not worthy of all the love and faithfulness you have shown your servant, since I crossed the Yarden with only my staff, but now I have become 2 machanim. Do you hear that word, that Hebrew word that we learned? Please rescue me from my achi, my brother Esav. I'm afraid of him, afraid he'll come and attack me without regard for my mothers or my children. You said, I will certainly do you good and make your descendants as numerous as the grains of the sand by the sea. Why didn't he say the stars in the sky? He's showing his humility.
Right.
I'm like the sand of the sea. I'm like nothing.
We see where it got Joseph.
Yeah, got him in
himself
trouble,
to
yeah.
The sun and the moon and the stars. He got in big trouble.
He did. So he stayed there that night, and then he chose from among his possessions the following as a present to Esav his brother: 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 female sheep and 20 males, 30 milk camels, which I'm not sure how you milk a camel, but okay, and their colts.
Yeah, they do have milk. They're a mammal.
Yeah, very carefully. 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 colts. And he turned them over to his servants, every drove by itself, and said to his servants, cross over, or ivri, in front of me, and keep a space between each drove and the next one. He instructed the servant in the front, when Esav, my brother, comes and meets you and asks you, whose servant are you? Where are you going? And whose animals are these? Then you are to say to him, they belong to your servant, Yaakov. To hear the language of humility and submission. And they are a present that he has sent to my lord Esav. And Yaakov himself is just behind us. He also instructed the second servant, and the third, and all that followed, the droves. When you encounter Esav, you are to speak to him in the same way. And you are to add, and there, just behind us, is your servant Yaakov. For he said, I will appease him with the first present that goes before him, or lapanaiv, before his face. Then after that, I will see his face myself, his panav, that he, and maybe he will be friendly, yisa panav, to my face. So the present crossed over ahead of him, and he himself stayed that night in the camp. He got up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 slave girls and his 11 children, and he forded the Yabok, which is a foreshadowing. So this is really kind of a design pattern. This is supposed to make us think about the exodus of the people of Israel. Laban would be considered the slavery of the Egyptians. Then he's fleeing, and then he's crossing the Yavok, coming up out of the Red Sea, if you will. And then he's going to encounter someone who strikes fear into his heart. That would be like the Amalekites. So this is like an early design pattern of what would come later with just the greater exodus. So Yaakov was left alone. Then some man, wrestled with him until shachar, until morning. When he saw that he did not defeat Yaakov, he struck Yaakov's hip socket so that his hip was dislocated while they were wrestling with him. The man said, let me go because it's shachar, it's morning. But Yaakov replied, I won't let you go unless you bless me. And the man asked, the Ish asked, what is your name? And he answered, Yaakov. Then the man said, from now on, you will no longer be called Yaakov, but you will be called Yisrael, because you have shown your strength to both Elohim, to God, and to men, and you have prevailed. So Yaakov asked him, please tell me your name. But he answered, why are you asking me about my name? And he blessed them there. So in other words, he validated Isaac's blessing that Yaakov took a little bit underhandedly. He put the stamp of approval on that blessing. So Yaakov called the place Peniel, or the face of God, because I have seen the face of God face to face, yet my life was spared. So who did he wrestle with, a man or with God? Judaism would tell you that that's not God, that that's Esav's angel that he wrestled with. Christianity would tell you that that's a pre-incarnate Yeshua. So I'll let you pray and figure out where we fall in that. But he says himself, I saw God face to face. And actually he gets named he who struggles with God. Yisrael, he who struggles or prevails with God. As the sun rose up upon him and he went on past Peniel, limping at the hip, this is why to this day the people of Israel don't eat the thigh muscle that passes along the hip socket, because the man struck Yaakov's hip at its sockets. Yaakov raised his eyes and looked out, and there was Esav coming, and 400 men with him. So Yaakov divided the children between Leah and Rachel and the two slave girls, putting the slave girls and the children first, then Leah and her children second, then Rachel, the favored one, and Yosef, his favorite son, last, thinking if they're going to get, enough of the bloodshed by the time they get to them, maybe they'll show them favor. And then he says, he himself passed on ahead of them and prostrated himself on the ground 7 times before approaching his brother, his Achi. Esav ran to meet him, hugged him, and threw his arms around his neck and kissed him. And if you look at this right here, this word kiss in a Torah scroll, it actually has 6 little dots above it. And the scribes have been preserving that for millennia now. These little 6 dots above the word to kiss there, which they say maybe are like teeth marks. It's a way of saying that Esav did not give him a genuine kiss. It was like the kiss of Judas or something. It was like a kiss that one day I will betray you. You've appeased me now, but this isn't a genuine kiss. But regardless, they wept together. Esav looked up. On seeing the women and the children, he asked, "Who are these with you?" Yaakov answered, "These are the children of God, graciously given to your servant." And I'm in verse 6 now. Then the slave girls approached with their children, and they prostrated themselves. Leah, as well, her children approached and prostrated themselves. And last came Yosef and Rachel, and they prostrated themselves. Esav asked, "What was the meaning of this procession of droves that I encountered?" And he answered, "It is to win my Lord's favor." So Esav replied, "I have plenty already, my brother, my Achi. Keep your possessions for yourself." So Yaakov said, "No, please. If now I have won your favor, then accept my gift. Just seeing your face has been like seeing the face of Elohim, now that you have received me. So please, accept the gift that I have brought you, for Elohim has dealt kindly with me, and I have enough." Thus he urged him until he accepted the gift. Esav said, "Let's break camp, Machneh, and get going. I'll go first." Yaakov said to him, "My Lord knows that the children are small, and the sheep and the cattle suckling their young concern me. Because if they overdrive them, even one day all the flocks will die. Instead, please let my Lord go on ahead of his servant. I will travel more slowly at the pace of the cattle ahead of me and at the pace of the children until I come to my Lord and Seir." So Esav replied, "Then let me leave with some of you, the people I have with me." But Yaakov said, "There's no need for my Lord to be so kind to me." So Esav left that day to return to Seir. Yaakov went on to Sukkot, and there he built himself a house and put up shelters, or Sukkot, for his cattle. That's why they call the place Sukkot. Having traveled to Padan Aram, Yaakov arrived safely in the city of Shechem in Canaan, and set up Machneh near the city. From the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, he brought 100 pieces of silver, the parcel of land where he had pitched his tent, and there he put up a Mizbeach, which he called El Elohai Yisrael, the God of Israel. So anytime, and I tell my students this throughout the week, anytime you see one of the patriarchs or anyone in the story of the Torah settle near a city or in a city, just get ready, because bad things are on the horizon.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting. Whenever you see a shepherd or a nomad settle in the city, bad things are on the horizon. So this is a kind of a diagram. It shows Jacob coming down with his procession with all his droves. And this is the Yabok River right here. But before he crosses over the Jordan River, we have Esau coming up with his 400 men. They're coming up due north to meet them there. And they meet at Peniel. And that's where all this story transpires, right there. And I like to see this. I like to see this visually, because Esau is living out here in these plains area, and the city of Sodom and Gomorrah would have been down here. And he's coming around, and he dwells in the city of Shechem. It's up here for the time being. So, do you feel, just looking at this map, and you see all the travelings of these three patriarchs, with Isaac being the only one to have never left the land, you see all this movement here in their lifetimes, when it's like a pendulum swinging back and forth, and finally the goal, the hope is that they would just settle in the land and find rest. And the word for rest there is nuach. To rest means when you get home from work and you kick off your shoes and you sit in your comfy chair, and you kind of loosen up your belt a little bit and you turn on the TV, you are nuaching, you're resting, you're settling in. That's the goal of the people of Israel, the family of Israel, is that they would just sit in the land and nuach. And I found this verse, and I've been kind of meditating and reflecting on this verse this week. Isaiah 30:15. For thus says the Lord God, the Holy One of Israel, in returning and in nuach you shall be saved. In quietness and in trust shall be your strength. And I was convicted by this verse a lot this week, because I fall prey to this, where I just put so much on my calendar, or I put so much in my day, and I'm personality type. If I don't accomplish a certain amount in a day, I can't really live with myself later that night. I feel like I got to get up and just accomplish one more thing, and then I can lay my head down on the pillow and just kind of go to sleep. But you know what? The verse says, in quietness and in trust, returning and rest, you will be saved. And I think we as humans, we have a tendency to want to do that, where we try to sign our kids up for every single thing known to man and engage them in everything and run just ourselves into a tizzy doing these things and checking this on our phone and making sure this is done at work and stuff. And it's like we just get so busy with all the busyness that life has to offer that we forget that we just got to be quiet, and we just got to be still and trust and stop this pendulum of activity and just kind of pare things down off of our calendar. One of the things we're trying to commit to do, Stacy and I as a family every night, is, it's not 100%, but 7 p.m., let's do our best to stop what we're doing at 7 p.m., let's sit around our dining room table, and let's just read one chapter from the Torah portions. Short, sweet, talk about it a little bit, maybe not even talk about it, but let's just carve out 7 p.m., let's just do that as a family. Let's just stop all the busyness. Let's just come together as a family once a night at 7 p.m. And guys, it doesn't always work that way. It's not 100% perfect. But we make an effort to just stop the busyness and put our phone somewhere else, or whatever the case may be. But I encourage you to try to do that. Now, I'm not perfect. I'm not saying that I've got this down. I'm confessing to you that I get swept up in the busyness of life and a job and being a husband and a father and doing this and leading a congregation, that sometimes I forget just to be quiet and just to nuach, to rest, and find the salvation and find the strength in that. And just stop putting things in my ears that I'm listening to, for just a little while, and just listen to the birds sing or something like that. And it's tough. It's tough to discipline myself to do that. But did I see a hand up somewhere? Yeah.
One of the very common curses of the Lord was to put paranoia into people. And to the point where they thought somebody was pursuing them when no one was.
Yeah, you're right.
Most of Jacob's life was lived that way.
Yeah.
Because he had unreconciled problems with his brother.
Yeah.
And so it's a picture of, don't harbor grudges.
Yeah.
If you know that there's a problem between you and another person, don't wait for them to make it right.
Yeah.
You make it right. It's your responsibility. Oh, I'm
You're stealing
sorry.
my
But, and I love the fact that God shows us these families with all their warts
with all
and
their baggage,
bumps,
all their
baggage,
dysfunction.
There's a lot of dysfunction.
There is. That's how I know that the Bible is really the Word of God, because
really
they didn't write this stuff out of the Bible. They didn't wash it out. It's there. It's messy. It's dysfunctional. And that's God's Word. He's saying, this is how we go about resolving this stuff.
And see, it's so built up in Jacob's mind.
Yeah.
When in fact, what's ironic is that we know from the scripture that his brother Esau has an attention span of about a gnat.
Yeah.
So probably he's long forgotten everything.
He's just thinking about his next meal.
Exactly.
Basically, yeah.
That's all he cares about is that hunting and going from one to another. He's not a deep guy.
Yeah.
So therefore, he's got this built up in his mind because he's never gotten it reconciled.
Yeah.
It's become really big with him.
It's kind of festered and driven him
and
crazy
his
almost.
brother, meanwhile, probably has completely forgotten that there was ever even a problem.
That's funny. Yeah.
Oh,
well,
that's the guy that gave me the lentil stew.
Yeah.
But it's funny that Jacob had told Isaac that his name was Esau. So then when he wrestled with God, God said, "What is your name?"
Uh-huh.
And he had to tell him.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. He had to be a person of truth. Yeah. No, yeah. But I think with this being still and being quiet thing, I publicly confess this on a regular basis that 11, 12 years ago, before Stacy and I were keeping Shabbat, I was allowing my busyness to come between her and I in our marriage. And I wasn't stopping and just sitting down with her and taking time to just sit in a hammock with her or what the case may be, or just go for walks with her. And our marriage was on a trajectory, if I had to guess, probably another year or two, we would not have been married anymore. And you know what saved our marriage is the sign of the covenant between us and our Creator, the Shabbat. Because we realized that the Shabbat is something that's applicable and relevant in our lives. And we were told all our lives that it wasn't. Then we realized, yes, it was according to His Word. Let's start keeping Shabbat. Let's stop running around and driving ourselves crazy. It was mainly me doing that. Let's just sit on a sheet in our backyard and just open the Bible and just read it together. Let's just do that for like 2 hours. Because nothing bad can come of that. That's what He tells us to do. And so we started doing that. And our marriage began to heal over time. And those wounds, because we were being still and because we were being quiet with each other, it just began to heal over time. And we were being able to get out those wounds from so long ago and allow healing to happen in those moments. So I really encourage you to do that with your spouse or your family.
Hey, Jamie.
Yeah.
Can you go back to that?
Sure.
picture one? I like the fact that it says the but right there.
Yeah.
We're always going to have an excuse not to rest.
Yes. Yeah.
Our natural man is going to say, but let me do this first and then I'll sit down.
Yeah.
We have to fight that. That's a physical battle.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's shocking. I mean, you go to a basketball game, and Noah's been doing a church league, and you go to a basketball game, it's shocking. And I'm just as guilty as this. I'm not like pointing a finger. It's shocking how many parents are looking at a screen instead of their kid playing the basketball game. You know, it's so sad. It's just be there. Be present in that moment. Just be still. Be quiet. Stop trying to accomplish things or trying to learn things or do this or that. Just watch your kid play a game. That's all he wants you to do, really. So, what if Esau and Yaakov really realized and fulfilled their destinies? If we recall from Genesis chapter 25, but the children of Israel, the children inside her struggled with each other. And she said, "Why is this happening to me?" So Rebekah went to inquire of the Lord, and He declared to her this: 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples from within you will be separated. And here's their destinies. That one people will be stronger than the other. That's Esau being physically stronger than Jacob. And the other will serve the younger. That's Esau, even in his physical strength, he's serving the younger. What if they just realized that? What if they had grabbed a hold of that? How powerful of a force would they have been in this world to transform the world that they were living in? Can you name some other siblings in the Bible? Anybody?
Cain and Abel.
Cain and Abel, yeah.
Rachel and Leah.
Rachel and Leah. Anybody else? What?
Ham, Shem, and Japheth.
Yeah, think about that. Yeah.
As
Cool.
kids, yeah.
That's a messy situation too. Any other siblings in the Bible?
Cain and Abel.
Yeah. What?
Mary, Martha.
Yeah,
What?
Mary and Martha in the New Testament.
Say it louder. Say it one more time.
Sons and daughters.
Sons and daughters. Yeah. Can you name some
Jacob's
examples by
kids.
name? Who?
Jacob's
The 12
kids.
sons of Jacob. The 12 sons of Israel. Yeah.
Adam and
I hear. Adam and Eve weren't really siblings. That didn't really count.
Mary, Martha, and Lazarus.
Maybe
in
they
the New
fought like
Testament.
brother.
Mary, Martha, and
Yeah.
Lazarus in the New Testament.
Some of the disciples of Yeshua were brothers.
Yeah.
Anyone other? James and yeah.
Yeah.
Any other ones? What? Moses and Aaron, yeah. Any other ones?
And Miriam.
Joseph is
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
Joseph.
Yeah, absolutely. Joseph and his older brothers, his 11 older brothers.
Oof.
The Reuben and his other siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do all of those sibling relationships have in common?
Strife.
Strife.
Lots of it.
Yeah. Tension, strife, dysfunction.
Jealousy.
So, yeah. Jealousy. So, I got some memes for you. I'm a memeaholic. Jonathan is as well. But I like this one. See his face? The moment he realized he was the middle child. Any middle children in the room? Annie's not here.
That looks like
Any middle children in the room? I can attest to that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you make that face, Dad? What about this one? When two brothers are fighting and suddenly mom walks in, they both pretend to be hurt, right? That one.
Oh, have you seen the one where he's like one of the nose bleeding? He's
Yeah.
Like, please don't tell mom.
Yeah. You're okay. You're okay. What about this one? There can only be one. Isn't that funny? That poor kid in there is squished.
Oh goodness. Is that a baby doll?
No, that's a real one.
I think it's real.
No.
What about this one?
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen that.
Creative parenting right
Yeah.
there.
This is our get along
I've seen
shirt.
that before.
My dad used to make us do that. We'd hug for 10 minutes, just stand there and hug. Oh, it's painful. Maybe that's why I'm not a hugger. Maybe that's why. That could be. I'm still scarred from that. Hey, look at this. There's like a little face there or something. I don't know. Older siblings, creating trust issues since forever.
Oh, yeah.
She's kinking up the hose, you know.
Been there, done that.
There's this one. When you hurt your sibling, I'm sorry, you're fine, you're fine. Don't tell mom. He's got like a sword in his eye. Oh, here's one. When you really love your sibling, I'm only 3.5 minutes younger.
Best 3.5 minutes of my life.
Because they're twins, I guess.
Yeah.
They're identical.
Yeah, they are identical. We are all brothers and sisters in this room. We're brothers and sisters in Messiah. Do you think that there will be strife between us?
Yes.
No?
Unfortunately.
Yes.
That'd be nice. There will be.
Yes.
There
It's
is.
human nature.
I stand to reason that there probably currently is between people who are in this room or people who are outside this room that we know current strife that's going on that's undealt with. But there definitely will be. We are all human beings trapped in flesh and pride and rebellion. And sometimes that pride gets injured a little bit. So I want to go to Matthew 18 because I think if Jacob and Esau had just read Matthew 18, just kidding.
They just read Matthew 18.
But I think Yeshua in Matthew 18 gives us a really good example and a really good template of how we prevent ourselves from falling into paranoia and harboring grudges and eventually dividing ourselves into little splinter groups is what it ultimately will lead to, and scattering the flock of Yeshua that he's working so earnestly to regather. So Matthew 18 gives us a step-by-step, just as practical as it gets, way to resolve conflict within a biblical assembly, within a biblical community like Dothan Messianic Fellowship. And it starts off in verse 15. He says, if your brother, and that's implied your sister as well, commits a sin against you, step 1, go and show him his fault, but do it in front of everybody. No, do it privately, just between the two of you. If he listens to you, you have won your brother back. And I believe that 99.9% of conflicts will be automatically resolved right there with just step 1. I don't think that most conflicts will go past that point. But if he doesn't listen to you, take 1 or 2 others with you so that every accusation can be supported by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to hear them, tell the congregation. And if he refuses to listen even to the congregation, you are to treat him as you would a pagan or a tax collector. So, we got some steps here. We got some steps. And what I did is I kind of enumerated them. Step 1, if your brother or sister sins against you, Jonathan, can you come up here real fast? I told Jonathan, I gave him an advance warning.
Right. No fighting, boys.
Yeah. Now, I ran over Jonathan's favorite cat. He has over a dozen cats, but I ran over his favorite one, named Fifi. And I had no idea. I was listening to some music really loudly. I had no idea. I was zipping past his house, and I ran over his cat, but he watched me do it. And it wasn't malintent or anything like that. I wasn't doing it maliciously. So step one, what does Jonathan need to do for me? Yeah, he needs, what? Make me aware of what happened. I had no idea. So Jonathan, at that point, he could do a couple different things. He could say, you know what? He definitely knew. He targeted Fifi. I saw him yank the steering. I think he ran over Fifi on purpose.
On purpose.
Yeah, I think that he's doing this passive aggressively. He killed Fifi. Or Jonathan could give me this thing called the benefit of the doubt, and say, it doesn't seem like Gabe's nature to run over a cat on purpose. So I wonder, I don't know, I should give him the benefit of the doubt. So he's going to come to me, and what are you going to do? First of all, you guys aren't in this room.
Yeah.
Hey, Jonathan, how's it going, man? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Hey, I wanted to let you know.
How your cats doing? Are they good? A few, okay. What's new, man?
With 5 more cats.
Yeah. So what's new, dude? What's new with you? What's going on?
Yeah, I actually wanted to come talk to you about the cats.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You need me to help you comb their fur again, or?
No.
Okay.
No.
What's going on with them?
So, I saw the other day that you were coming by the street. It looked like you had hit Fifi.
Oh my
When you were
gosh.
driving.
No way. I hit Fifi?
Yeah, I don't know if you were distracted or just like,
Oh
didn't
my
see
goodness,
her.
I had no idea I hit Fifi with my car. I killed Fifi? I
Fifi is
loved
dead.
Fifi. Oh my gosh, I feel so horrible. I would never in a million years intentionally hit Fifi. I apologize. I'm so sorry. Do you forgive me?
Yes, absolutely.
What can I do to make it up to you that I killed Fifi?
10 more cats.
Okay, so the conflict has been resolved, right? Okay, now let's play it a different way. Now, I don't admit to kill. Okay, so go back to the beginning. Hey, Jonathan, what's going on, man? You doing all right?
I'm doing okay.
How are your cats doing?
I came to talk to you about that, actually.
Oh, okay. You need me to help comb their fur, the birds out of it?
No,
Okay,
no,
all right.
I just...
Yeah, because that was kind of weird when we did that for something.
Yeah.
Well, what's up? What's up with your cats?
The other day I saw when you were driving by, it looked like you
Yeah.
had hit Fifi.
No, I didn't. Why would you ever accuse me of doing that? I would never hit Fifi. I'm a really safe driver. I know I have hit a cat in the past, but I've definitely, if I saw Fifi, I would slam on the brakes. Dude, why would you even accuse me of that? You know how many cars are just like mine on the road, and you think that I did that?
Yeah, because I saw you.
Well, I think you saw wrong. I think I loved Fifi. I would never run over Fifi. So at that point, we have a problem.
Yep.
What are we to do?
Look at the car.
Look at the car. Yeah.
Look at the video camera.
Look at the video camera. Yeah.
Video cam
Look on the wheels.
So what are we to do? Who are you going to pick?
Jeremy and Patrick.
Now, why are you picking them?
They were helping me with yard work.
We're gonna hold him while
Okay. So you guys come up here. Come on up. So why are you picking them again?
We were doing yard work. We were
Okay, so
chopping down a tree.
you're not just arbitrarily picking them to back
Two
up and kind of
witnesses.
be muscle or anything like that.
Two witnesses.
I'm kind of intimidated right now. All these bearded men. I don't know.
And they're taller than you.
Bearded men.
If anyone wants to get a picture, now's your opportunity.
Always get somebody taller than Gabe.
So okay. So go ahead from the beginning. So why have we arranged this meeting in your living room with all your cats around?
So the other week, forgive the smell. So the other week, when you were over here, or when I came over to your house, we were talking about how you had hit Fifi. And I know you disagreed that you didn't, and that there was potentially someone else, but
Yeah.
Jeremy and Patrick were helping me cut down that big tree in my yard, and they both saw it as well. And so I just wanted them to come and help confirm that it was you.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Two witnesses.
That's awkward. I didn't realize you guys were standing there watching. I'm sorry I lied to you. I did hit Fifi. Will you forgive me?
Absolutely.
How can I make it up to you? And how can I restore that to you?
Let's grab a beer.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, so it played out the correct way, right? Even with the two witnesses. Now, let's do it a different way, okay? We're back in the meeting in your living room surrounded by cats, and they're clawing the couch. as we talk. Hey, why am I here? Why'd you call me here?
So we were last week we've been talking about how I'd said you had hit Fifi and you disagreed.
I didn't do that.
So Jeremy and Patrick both helped me cut down that big tree in my yard, and they both saw that you did it as well. And I wanted them to come
there's
and
no way.
confirm.
I don't think I was even driving by your house. I don't even like to drive by your house. I don't think I did that. Not because of your house, but just because it's, I don't know, I just don't like that way. But there's no way I hit Fifi. Even if you guys saw me hit Fifi, there's no way I did it. I don't care. I'm not apologizing. I don't owe you an apology. I didn't run over Fifi. And even if I did, honestly, I'm a little bit snuffed that you called this meeting because you think that I hit Fifi. So even if I did hit Fifi, I wouldn't apologize because you brought them here for this, and this is kind of disgraceful. This is kind of humiliating, to be honest with you. So you better keep Fifi in your house because if she does get out, I might just run her over. Okay, so let's pause. Now what does Jonathan need to do? Yeah, I don't know why we're still friends at this point.
He's going to hold you down and the other guy's going to hit you.
I have no idea why he's still friends with me at this point. But now, let me back up a second. Ideally, Jeremy, these guys are elders in the congregation. They are someone of spiritual authority in the congregation that ideally they can speak and already know what's going on with that issue. But if they're not, at this point, these three guys need to go to the leadership of the congregation. So let me get Bobby up here. Bobby, I'm sorry to rope you in on this. This Fifi debacle. Okay, so I'm out of the equation. I'm not here.
One of his dead cats in his bed.
Okay, you guys are having a private meeting now.
Okay, guys, what's going on here?
So we approached Jeremy Gabe the other day because we were doing some yard work, and Gabe was driving down the street and he had hit one of my cats. And we approached him about it. We weren't looking for like any big restitution or anything. We just wanted him to know, and he completely, not only did he disagree, but he like got all mad at us and decided that he was going to yell at us and storm off. And I don't know if we're even friends anymore because of the way he treated us. And we just wanted to let you know that that's where we're right now.
Okay, what we need to do first off is together as brethren is pray for Gabe.
Yeah.
Take him to our Heavenly Father and pray for him. And then we need to take this before the congregation and explain to them what's happened. And even though it hurts our hearts, and because we've been friends with this brother, we have to set him apart. And by this scripture here, we treat him as if he's a pagan. He's lost from us until he's willing to confess what he's done and make it right and help you with your kittens. Your cats.
Thank you. So at this point, we would go before you guys are good. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. At this point, we'd go before the congregation and we'd say,
y'all did such a great job.
yeah, they did. At this point, we'd say, hey guys, we regret to inform you, but Gabe, it's been confirmed with 3 witnesses that Gabe has ran over John's beloved cat, Fifi. When approached privately by Jonathan, he failed to acknowledge his wrongdoing, and then he went on to step 2 of Matthew chapter 18, which was to approach him with 2 or 3 and take it before the elders, and he was actually confronted in that group as well. And he still refused to repent and own up to his wrongdoing. So guys, at this point, we are saddened by the decision that we have to make, and that is we have to uninvite him and not welcome him into our gatherings, into our events, and our functions until he can own up to his wrongdoing and repent and make restitution and restore the honor that has been stolen from Jonathan. We have given Gabe our number. He has our contact information, and he knows all of this information. So when he is ready to make this step of reconciliation, please allow him to come to the leadership of the congregation to do that. Please defer him to us in that scenario. And we ask that you treat him any time that you see him, and remember that he is someone that is willing to love discord more than the unity of the body of Messiah. So, yeah.
A question for you.
Sure.
how does this work too with our, with husbands and wives? Does this same principle work?
I think it all depends. I think it all depends, but I don't.
The wife is always right.
The wife is always right. I'm going to go with that for now, and then if I change my answer, I'll.
I think it's always mine at the top.
Yeah. Karen is always right. Let's go with that.
I like the fact that it says that you gain a brother by doing that.
Yes, yeah.
If you're going to gain, you'd be out of taking a stand for what's really right.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't lose from that, but you actually gain.
Psychologists actually say when friendships go through conflict and they regain the friendship and they reunite as friends, they are actually a much stronger friendship because of that. So it's almost an opportunity too. But I'm telling you, every conflict I've ever seen usually would have been resolved at step one if the people had just followed step one instead of taking it and just going around that person and telling everybody but that person. That's not how it's to be done. So yeah.
In a lot of Christian circles, this really isn't carried out this
Yeah.
way or taught. But one group that, because I've done a lot of reading about it, is the Amish. And
Yeah.
maybe they sometimes take it to the
Too far.
far extreme,
Yeah.
but they call it shunning.
Yeah.
But the whole idea is to restore the person.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the emphasis
Exactly.
of it, even though they may be
Which
kind
brings
of
me
brutal
to a good
about it.
point. We are not interested, Marv and I were talking about shunning the other night. We're not interested in doing that. Ain't nobody got time for that. What we're interested in doing is making sure that we have a safe place that is living harmoniously, worshiping together, unified,
Boundaries.
and if there is little to no discord that's festering within our camp, within our machne. And that when we have an issue, we have love for one another to the point that we can deal with that. Okay? But we're not interested in putting someone outside of our congregation and saying, bye, so long, you're shunned. You're not excommunicating someone like a Catholic Church would do. What we're doing is saying, guys, you apparently, and all these steps, you love discord more than you love peace. We're to be a people of peace. So you don't have a place here right now. We want you to have a place here, but you don't currently. And also, that tells me if they're not willing to repent after all those steps, that they are pretty self-seeking. And they're pretty prideful, right? Would you agree with that? Okay. And then they care more about their interest more than the interest of the body of Messiah. Do you all agree with that as well?
Yeah.
So, I did a little bit of research on tax collectors in the Mishnaic period. I'm going to be done here in just a minute. The Mishnaic period in the Mishnah and what it says about tax collectors. Because that's the period where Yeshua is writing about tax collectors. Why were they so bad? Why are we supposed to treat people like tax collectors? And how does that look and how does that play out? Tax collectors, the rabbis interpreted the bear in Amos chapter 5 as a tax collector.
Wow.
And then they were seen as perpetual robbers. And that if they came into your house, if you let a tax collector come into your house, it defiled everything in your house. Isn't that interesting? Because they were seen as someone who would be willing to physically pin you down and torture you to acquire what they need out of you. And that's how they made their living, is they took more than what was called and they lined their own pockets. So the more they can get from you, the more bonus they got, the more they could use to line their own pockets. So they wouldn't even accept their tzedakah, their charity. So if they put something in a tzedakah box like we have here, if you put charity in, they're like, nope, here, take it. Take this back and go, please. Because you're a tax collector. You're not welcome here. When you change your profession and you change your career, then come on back and see us. And when Yeshua says you are to treat them as a tax collector in Matthew 18, that's intense language that he's using there. It's like, I can't. I want to have a relationship with you. I want to retain a friendship with you. But man, I just know this about you. And it's like, I just wish you could have just made peace when you were given the opportunity to make peace. And that hurts me that I can't be with you. But I pray for you that one day you'll be restored and you'll be humbled and be able to acknowledge your wrongdoing. So we're going to take a quiz. True or false? If someone offends me, I must wait until they realize it and come to me to apologize and address it.
False.
False. It is your responsibility, if they've offended you, to go to them. Now, ideally, they'll realize they offended you and they'll go to you preemptively. But if you've been offended by someone, you have to go to them. Guess why? Because if it's someone like me who's completely oblivious, and sometimes I can use a really intense voice. Stacy tells me, you got to be careful with your intense voice. Because I make people cry. Especially when I taught middle school, I'd make them cry because I have an intense voice. But I offend people. And I don't mean to offend them. But I do. So give me the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes I just use an intense voice. And I love you so much. But maybe I'm just an intense person. But give me the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, or I didn't get a nap, yeah. But you have to give each other the benefit of the doubt, because sometimes we're coming from different cultures in this room as well, and even different nations, and it can be radically different from where you come. So make sure you give the person the benefit of the doubt. Say, hey, and you may not have realized this, but when you said that, it really hurt me. Did you realize that? And they'd be like, whoa, no, I didn't realize that. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. How can I make it right? Okay, true or false? If a person has caused an offense, I need to make elusive, passive-aggressive posts on social media about it, hoping they'll get the hint. False. False. No, don't do that. The world will see it, and they'll think we're all mashugana.
Looney Tunes.
You're to go to them. Oh, number 3. Steps 1 and 2 are completed where?
Private.
Both of them are in private. Both are in private. The only time the congregation should be aware of the dispute is if it progresses on to which step? Step 3. Step 3. There's 3 primary steps of this. True or false? After the person has been through step 3 and still has not repented, they are to be shunned and never again welcomed to the congregation, even if they repent and make things right.
False.
False. That's absolutely false. Okay, good. You guys got 100%? 4 out of 4? Good job. That was good. I got a couple verses in closing here for you guys. John 13. Yeshua says, a new commandment I give to you. Love one another as I have loved you. In other words, be willing to die for one another. A physical, painful death for one another. Publicly humiliated for one another. So, also you must love one another. By this, all men will know that you are my disciples. If you can read Hebrew fluently. No. If you can decipher all the mysteries of the Hebrew Bible and all the little Torah code things and figure out when the world is going to end. No. They'll know you are my disciples if you simply love one another. All of that will come secondary to that. If you don't love one another and you have all that stuff, you're like a clanging cymbal in someone's ears. It's unpleasant. It's unpleasant to be around. So, yeah.
I had to learn that lesson quite frequently, actually.
Yeah, I do too. Kindred spirits. Yeah, we all do. Psalm 133, verse 1. We sang this morning. I'll say this as we wrap up for the day and do lunch. Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to dwell in unity. Just like Jacob and Esau could have dwelt in unity, but they didn't. So let's stick to Matthew 18. Let's stick to what the Bible says, and it'll all be good. Let's do Kiddush together. Yeah.